Good morning, I'm Chris Goodwin from Results Driven Group, and I'd like to introduce you to Keri, who's going to talk about coaching and mentoring.
Hello, my name's Keri Smith. I'm the head teacher of Ross of Edwin Primary School, and I'm very happy to be here to talk to you about the experiences I've had of coaching and mentoring with Chris.
So what's the impact been for you, would you say, Keri?
For me, I think that there was a real sense of, after an incredibly difficult year, of where I genuinely felt as though it was becoming difficult to see the wood for the trees. There was a lack of momentum in things that we'd always been driving towards with school improvement and the new curriculum, the national mission. And, you know, my job, as far as I was concerned, has sort of changed so dramatically with the pandemic that I was finding it really difficult to identify where the priorities were. And, you know, there were all sorts of things that I felt as though I had competing priorities and that really I wasn't quite sure anymore what they were in some instances.
No,
So
that's fantastic. Yes.
for me, it was a real benefit being able to speak to you and as somebody outside of education and really talk about myself as a leader rather than myself as a school leader. With all of those sort of competing sort of priorities, just to talk about my experience and how I could step back and get some perspective.
Well, that's really good. How do you think it's affected? I mean, because, you know, how has it affected the impact on the children, the teachers, the sort of wider areas of influence you have, Keri, as a head, would you say? You know, how has it helped you become a better head to, you know, even better teaching and learning?
I think the thing that has really had the impact is the fact that I've been able to manage my time a little bit more effectively and sort of, you know, put things in boxes a little bit more effectively. So I was having all sorts of concerns around you know, the things that I enjoyed doing versus the things that I was finding difficult getting going because I wasn't enjoying them. And really, you know, talking to you allowed me to realize that I don't have to be brilliant at all of the things.
No, that's
you know,
good.
It's such a varied role. And I think there's a real culture in schools, particularly, that head teachers, you know, we're good at all of the things. And, you know, what's really benefited the school, I feel, and obviously the knock on there for the children, is that has allowed me to step back and think, actually, do you know what? Let's look at what everybody in the team is good at and what is it that I don't need to be good at. And, you know, how can I box my time off more effectively to do those things that I'm not so keen on doing? As we all are, we're human. We put those things to one side. We've got a long list somewhere of things that we don't really like doing. And so, you know, just talking it through with you who didn't really have, you know, to use the expression, any skin in the game, really, you know, and no judgment. Because there is a sense, isn't there, that we have to be superhuman. And during a time of, you know, a national emergency. So, you know, I find it incredibly beneficial just to be able to have that space to stand back and think about what was really important and allow my team to step forward.
Wow, I mean, that's true leadership, Keri, what you've demonstrated there, in the sense of actually, but just that last sentence that you said, allowing your team to step forward. I mean, you imagine the opportunities that they can have, how they can develop, but you will influence their future, and that will influence the impact
and
on the children.
I think, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I think that before I forget about that bit, because I think it's really important as well that one of the things we talked about, we came up with a 3-point plan, didn't we? Because once we uncovered the fact that actually a lot of my angst was around the fact that I felt I couldn't be good at all of the things. And, you know, once we put that to one side, we developed a 3-point plan about, you know, some time management for those tasks on that long list that I talked about. I know. How to box some time aside for that. But then also how to identify better what my team was good at, because I'm a small school, tiny little school of 140. So, you know, we've got, you know, we've got so many people with multiple hats, everyone takes a role. And, you know, we did on your advice, we did the bell bin. And we looked at what our team roles, what our strengths were in terms of team roles. And we spent, a training day looking at that and then identifying how best then to put together research and development teams.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah.
So, and it was incredibly beneficial to all of our members of staff. I think that you may remember that one of the things that we had that almost all of our teaching assistants identified as team workers.
Yes.
In that sort of generic helper kind of role, because that's the sorts of experiences some of them have had. And that's really allowed us to talk about the new standards for teaching assistants and really look at, actually, you do take a role. You're responsible for intervention. You're responsible for children's well-being. You're responsible for the progress that children make. You do more than help around the edges and fill in the gaps.
What I find invigorating is that you've actually taken the conversations we had, the things that we discussed, and you've actually gone on to develop your staff further. So, I got to applaud you for that, because that's fantastic. And I mean, you imagine, well, what they've been through for the last 12 months, but did they see that as quite a good team building development opportunity that you did with them on that sort of day when you
Absolutely. Before coming to education, my background is academic research with a specialty in organizational development and interprofessional roles. So Belbin speaks to me, love it, really very much enjoy. But I expected that perhaps my team would think, oh, this is a bit of management jargon. How useful is this to me? And they were all fascinated. Some of them took it home and did it with their family.
Really?
to see.
God. I've never heard of anybody doing Bellway with a family. You can imagine that, can't you? The sort of, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, because I talk very much about, my strengths. I'm a shaper. I'm the vision. I've talked to you jokingly before. I'm the vibes guy. Work the front with the maracas. And I need a really strong completer finisher with me. And, I talked about that before we even started. It's about not just what we're rubbish at, what are we great at, and how can we help each other and support each other, because we can't all be good at all of the things. And as a result of that, I had members of staff who thought, you know what, this is how my house works. My husband's really good at that, and I'm really good at this, and we complement each other. So they took it home.
And a family is a team, isn't it? Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
It is exactly. You and your daughter, it's a team. A family is a team. So what are the next steps then? How do you think you can embed a culture of coaching and mentoring at school? How can it benefit you?
Well, I think, I certainly now will be looking for, engaging some staff members in order to go through on the coaching and mentoring training that's available via the EAS, and actually, really embed that in Ross of Edwin. We're a small team, as I say, with multiple hats, and I think what we've done is we've identified, with all of the priorities coming forward, we've tried, to make sure this person's responsible for that, and how are we all, assimilating that information. But actually, do you know what I found is how beneficial this stepping back has been, and allowing people to, really think about what is coming, instead of trying to dive in and do all of the things and tick everything off, because it feels very much like that at the moment in, or has done, in the last year. So, certainly, I've talked to my senior leadership team. There's 3 of us all together, and, we will be, they will be joining up, and we've actually put aside some money from our pupil deprivation grant in order to ensure that there is proper time for coaching and mentoring.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Newer members of staff who can then support some of our children who need additional support.
Oh, that's brilliant, Keri. That really is. Well, good luck with your journey, and thank you for your time. And no doubt we'll our paths will cross in the future, as they say. So thank you.
I'm absolutely sure they will. I would just like to say one other thing, is that one of the other points of my 3-point plan was that you said that I needed to think about something that I used to enjoy doing and I didn't do anymore in order to spark a little bit of joy in my life. And I would just like to show these to everyone. Chris made me get these. On my first outing, I fell over and cracked my coccyx.
Yeah, you had them before anyway. You know you've always skated, so don't tell me that.
Thanks ever so much, Chris.